Order online at picassospizza.net.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports podcast where we are here to pay the bills. It is the Pay the Bills post-game show. Jake Majka joined by Alex Majka here as the Buffalo Bills defeat the New Orleans Saints. I almost said Kansas City Saints. You can see what I have on my brain.
I was going to say, there was a...
I know, it just, I don't know. That's on the brain at the moment. New Orleans, that's where they play. To move to 4-0. 31-19 win. The Saints fall to 0-4, but this was nothing of a clean game of the sort at all. There are a lot of warts throughout the game. Honestly, all sides of the ball. I guess special teams pretty good, even though the punter might be hurt. Who knows? I mean, that he toughed it out. Shout out Cam Johnston there, getting hit on the roughing the kicker call. They just slapped a brace on him and he got right back out there for a hole. That's the most impressive thing of the day today, honestly. The punter.
I don't know.
I was impressed to see him back out there.
They were Mitch was getting ready, so I don't know why they didn't send Mitch out, honestly.
He's a tough guy. He didn't even want help off the field, man.
No.
But so we had 31-19. This game did get down to 21-19. And it was in the third quarter, was it maybe even into the fourth quarter? I can't remember when that drive, that touchdown pass that was called back was, but it was close to the Bills. I think in the fourth quarter, it was close to the Bills trailing in this game late, but they hold the lead throughout. No time that the Saints ever took this game over. But what of all the different directions that you could go with about this performance, what is the first biggest takeaway you had from this game, and what's the first thing you want to touch on?
I mean, the defense overall, the run defense is obviously still nowhere near where it needs to be as like a complete team. They obviously can't stop a rushing quarterback. Any quarterback who can even run the ball a little bit. I mean, Spencer Rattler at one point had like 53 passing yards. He had 50 rushing yards. And he's not, I mean, he could run a little bit, but he's not like a guy who's like known for that as much as anything else. For the most part, I feel like they held Kamara like decently. He had a couple like decent runs, but then they would like Keandre Miller was getting like 5-6 yards a pop.
Even Rattler ended up with like 70 yards.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're all they were getting at one point it was like in the first half they had like 117 yards rushing against the Bills offense, and Rattler only had like 40 yards passing. And it's like that. I mean, that shouldn't be happening. I don't know. Maybe it's a mix of things. They're still dealing with injuries with Matt Milano being out and with Ed Oliver still being out, and maybe Matt Milano would be the guy who'd be spying the quarterback a lot of the time, and he's just not in. I mean, that's possible, but I don't know. It just seemed the run defense and Joey Bosa especially, like out of position a bunch of times. He's getting sucked way too far in on those plays and not holding the edge like he's supposed to. Yeah. And Dorian Williams looked lost. You're gonna go back.
Oh, really? Okay.
You were talking about you're gonna go back and watch all 22. You'll see it on a couple of those Rattler runs. It's just he's getting just juked out of his mind that he doesn't know where he's supposed to be. So that's not a good sign for Dorian at all. But
no, not by Spencer Rattler, who is now 0-10.
Still not the record though, so good for him.
Guys. What is the record? What's the record?
0-15.
Is that DeShone Kizer?
It's tied. It's DeShone Kizer and somebody else. But yes.
Shout out to DeShone Kizer. I mean, that's a name I didn't think we'd be dropping on the end of this podcast today. But
Josh Allen makes me smile.
Josh Allen does make me smile. Shout out to you, Sandy. And Josh Allen did make me smile in the fourth quarter again. Just kind of taking over when he needed to. That run, the juke run he makes before the Kincaid touchdown. Kincaid running just wide open.
Yeah. He walked in the end zone. He stopped running by the 5 and just walked in because no one was even close to him.
Yeah, and Allen today, 16 besides the interception, 16 of 22, 209, 2 touchdowns, basically similar to what he did last week. And he also adds 45 yards on the ground and another touchdown. He was a similar excellent self. James Cook, another 100-yard game this week, third in a row, 22 carries, 117 yards. Interested to see where he'll end up around the leaderboard this week after that.
I don't know. where the Colts.
The Colts are playing right now.
Yeah, so it's all we'll see where Jonathan Taylor ends up because he was the only one ahead of him. But no, Cook playing great. Like you said, 3 straight games with 100 yards now. First Bills player to do that since Thurman Thomas. So that's kind of crazy going back.
That is pretty crazy.
Back on that, and Cook scored another touchdown. It's 8th straight game with a rushing touchdown, which is the franchise record that he has now. So that's pretty cool.
That is,
and he's obviously is just like becoming their every down back. Like we talked about, Ty Johnson's supposed to be the best 3rd down back in the league. That's what Josh says. Ty Johnson had 1 carry today, and he got stuffed at the line, didn't get any yards. And then Ray Davis had 1 carry today and had like 3 yards. It's obviously they just want to run with Cook because he's their best option that they have.
Yeah.
And I mean, why would you not? They're obviously he's built for this and is showing that he can do it every single down.
And at this point, I think people, and we've had a lot of conversations over the last year, even coming into this year, even the last couple weeks, talking about the Bills and their run game or their passing game and the downfield passing game and everything else. What happened with the Bills offense as much as anything is, and you and I talked about this all the time last year, James Cook just became their best weapon. And so you use your best weapon and utilize him however you can. And while this game, maybe not as flat, first of all, they still get to 30 points again, like another game, another 30-point offensive performance.
And win by 12.
Win by double digits. If you would have told me 30 points, win by double digits, I would have taken it, hit the button as Maniac loves to do, double-digit win, 30 points scored. I would have hit it on last Monday morning and just been happy with it no matter what. But just like the way that this offense is going to function, while there are some, I'm sure that there's, and I saw some of it too, some questionable play call, like the 4th and 1 play call, the little shovel pass Shakir. It's just that's a play that needs to go. That's a play on 4th and 1. You don't put your hands in put the ball in Josh Allen's hands or put it in James Cook's hands. You don't get and Joe Brady will get cute with his play calling. I feel like that's a fair critique, is that there's some overthinking that happens with it. But just the way the offense is going to function, when you have a running back as your leading offensive weapon compared to a Stephon Diggs or a Travis Kelce in Kansas City or anything else, the games are going to kind of look like this for time. Teams are going to seem like they're in games longer than they're actually. I told you, I didn't really have a doubt about this game, even though the score got close, because the Bills can open it up when they need to. But naturally, if you're a more balanced offense and you're leaning on your running back like you do, the games are going to get closer and if you make some mistakes, they're going to be able to get magnified and keep the score close and everything. Now, that doesn't excuse the sloppiness of the offense and the penalties throughout the first half that they had to deal with.
Penalties throughout the whole game, honestly, not even just the first half. So undisciplined in a way that you usually don't see out of a Sean McDermott team, or not, at least if there's a couple of them, it's not this many in a game. That was crazy. So many false starts, so many illegal shifts, just a mess all around. I mean, even false start on that final field goal attempt that they got from Prater. It was a false start on Reed Ferguson.
Yeah.
And he had a holding penalty on one of the punts, such weird shit. That, I mean, they also they never re-showed either of those penalties, so I don't know. It's weird when that happens. It's did it really even happen? But no, very undisciplined. And that was kind of the story of the second quarter, where they came out and 14-7 the end of that first quarter, and then the second quarter defense tightens up, actually gets the Saints to punt, but that's just field position game, and that was what the entire second quarter was. The Bills couldn't get past the 50. And they were starting these drives in the shadow of their own end zone the entire time. A lot of penalties were kind of keeping them back there too. Josh's interception, which is whatever. I mean, you could honestly I don't like the term arm punt, because I think it takes away a lot of the dumbness of an interception that could be on a quarterback. He threw it a double coverage on 3rd and 10 when he probably didn't need to. He forced it. But that drive was, they were trying to go with Cook. One play, nothing. 2nd and 10, great breakup by I think it's Sinker again. I think he made 3 great plays, and then the interception, and the defense actually holds a little bit again, but I don't know. They just were getting pushed in their own end too much and didn't know what to do. And then I don't know, they were able to figure it out in the third. Came out and scored right away. Josh had a nice touchdown, but that's the thing. They're not going to have as many penalties again. You would hope. I don't know how many they end up with in this game. Team stats here. It's got to be like 10, I think. 11. They had 11 penalties, but only 55 yards.
Yeah, so like just little shit. Procedural shit. Yeah, like I mean, and this is gonna be a whole game where a lot of correction. The coaching staff loves a game like this where you get a 12-point win, but you can correct a lot. And that 11 for 55 just means it wasn't aggressive penalties. It wasn't like you were playing hard and maybe got a illegal contact or offensive pass interference or anything. Something like that. You guys were just not sharp today.
Yeah. Two defensive holding penalties on Trey White, which I only remember seeing one of them on a replay. It didn't really look like it was enough of a defensive holding. I mean, they got declined anyways, but like 2 calls on Trey, and he was out of the game for a bit. They had just Benford and Dorian Strong for a couple of those plays because Trey just wasn't up to snuff. Obviously he ended up coming back in anyways. But no, I don't know. Just up and down, just a weird game. That was probably a little bit of sleepwalking coming in, knowing that the Saints team is not very good, 0-3, and knowing you're heavy favorites at home. But I don't know. Can't do that all the time.
This is about the biggest criticism Mike Bunt will give the Buffalo Bills after a win. And so I'm going to read the last 2 tweets he put out. Don't have any strong takeaways from today's Bills wins other than their defense has a ton of room to improve, and that's not the worst thing in the world when you're on a 4-game winning streak and 3 of those are by double digits. That's Bunt's. That's like Bunt is too nice to say that the defense was trash and that they got lucky they were playing Spencer Rattler today, and anybody else. And our friend Rockpile Report from there in Rochester he commented right under our when we launched the stream and said Babich equals Wanstead. Please discuss. Now, I don't know if you can talk about that with Dave Wanstead as much, Mo, but Dave Wanstead as a defensive coordinator seemed like a lot of people believed that Dave Wanstead, and what I remember at least from his days as he was the Dolphins head coach, obviously, and then came back as another defensive coordinator after being at Pitt for a while. Led by talent, not a lot of scheming going on. Just letting the boys go out and be the boys, letting the D line do their thing. And he said Wanstead equals Babich. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from this defense today. And my biggest takeaway been all year. Well, first I want to get to Mike Bunt's tweet, and then I'll get to my biggest takeaway of the defense. Yeah. Right now, the worst enemy of the Bills' offense is themselves. They're at the point where they score 30-plus points with ease, even when they're not clicking. They were mostly decent today, but get too cute at times and need to avoid overthinking things. Otherwise, they're dominant. So basically what we were saying about Joe Brady, like the overthinking, the cute shit is what gets them, like the Shakir call. There's just – and I know that there were other sequences in this game that were extremely just – he's done this too many times. He's got Joe Brady has tendencies now where there are just drives at a time where you're like, man, like why are you doing this? Like why? And I wonder how much of it is that this team thinks that, and this game's kind of proof of it. And it was something we were talking about on the podcast this week, Mo, was the fact that they don't really believe in this defense, like as like an elite unit. And so that's why there's so much emphasis on Allen not turning the ball over, not making mistakes. And he knows that, like he knows how clean they have to play to be an elite team. So when he makes a mistake, like he makes one mistake in this game, like really has one pick, and it gets magnified to the point where this game could have been 31-12 instead of, 31-19. Like, I don't know if they actually scored right after that drive, whatever, but you know what I mean? Like the fact that this game ends up being close into the fourth quarter and his one mistake gets magnified, but as much of it feels like it's because they can't really trust this defense to string together the stops. And the biggest thing you have to mention about the defense too is that, and I'll keep mentioning it until we got everybody back, Ed Oliver's been hurt for 3 weeks. Milano is hurt again. We can talk. Let's bring up Maxwell Hairston, who's been out the whole year. Bring up Ogunjobi and Hoyt, who have been suspended for the whole year. Like those are 5 guys who were all supposed to be large parts
contributing to the defensive
team, and they're just not around right now. Yeah. So I'm like willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but these are also tendencies that we've seen from this defense. Not just under Bobby Babich, but for years in games, not games like honestly, not games like this. Like you usually dominate teams that are this much, this inferior to them. And maybe this was as much of anything for the Saints, like looking at it from their perspective, as I like to do. Like this is a kitchen sink game, right? Like
no team wants to be 0-4.
And you don't want to be the team that's a 16-point underdog and then get smoked again.
Yeah.
Like that. That's just it's a professional pride today. So good on the Saints.
No team wants to be 0-4. Same way like with that Dolphins game last week is that they didn't want to be a team to go 0-3. It's obviously. But I don't know. To the point of Bobby Babich, he doesn't seem like he makes adjustments at all, and he doesn't seem like he really is scheming anything up. He had a couple good plays where it was a couple good blitz calls that he dialed up for Terrell Bernard. But overall, they don't really seem like they're doing anything. The defensive line, especially, is not until the end of the last 2 minutes of the game where AJ Epinesa turned into a hero, and they were able to do anything. But they're looking lost. I don't know if it's the idea that there's no schemes and it's just by talent. Well, the Bills defense can't, to quote Herb Brooks, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone on the defense.
Wow, a lot of Herb Brooks. I put out a Herb Brooks GIF right before this podcast. I said Bills scored 30 points and just put it again. So look at us. We're on the always on the same wave.
But it's true. Like, I don't know. You look over that team and it's like there's obviously it's like a lot of draft capital has been invested in that defense and money. But is it showing out yet? Greg, another game where he's pretty much lost. He had he made the stop on the 2-point conversion. Great. That's his only play he's really made. Joey Bosa gets that half a sack, or I think he got credited with at the end of the game.
I think so, yeah. And a forced fumble again.
But another forced fumble, which is awesome. A lot of missed tackles though. He's a liability in the run game, honestly.
Yeah.
He can't hold the edge. Terrell Bernard made a couple plays, but nothing spectacular. Dorian Williams looking lost over the field. Taylor Rapp looks like it's finally my head's hurt. I can't play like this anymore. He's not being as aggressive as he used to be. Cole Bishop, awesome interception. That's something to be happy about, and that saved a touchdown.
That was a crazy. What an athletic play to make.
It was. So that's Cole Bishop stock up a little bit there. Benford's still playing well. Trey and Dorian Strong, they don't know who they really want. Obviously, they're kind of switching between them. And then with Harrison comes back, who knows what that situation is. And then obviously, like you said, Ed's out. But Deion Walker, I will say that. So Cole Bishop stock up, Deion Walker stock way up too. Because he was living in the backfield a little bit.
Okay.
He had a couple nice tackles for loss early in the game. But then on plays, third and mediums and stuff, why are they taking him out? I know he's not as much of a premier pass rusher, but their third downs that were getting converted because Rattler was running, keep him in there. Let him clog up a lane. That's the biggest problem too. It's whatever you're putting TJ Sanders in, he's not making a pass rush right now. Put in the guy who weighs 380 pounds and is 6'6" or 6'7", whatever he is. But I don't know. That's a thing where that comes down to the individual coaching, and that's not anything that Babich has shown that he can do.
And I like to touch on this point too, because and going back to the Wanstead thing and the D line and everything else, and you mentioned the D line here, and then AJ Epinesa takes over late. You mentioned they take over late there. What I've noticed, and I was saying this after week 1 against the Ravens, they do great. This D line does great when it's a straight pass rush situation, when it's that they're dropping back. And that it's a drop back passing situation. It's 3rd and 10. It's 2nd and 12, whatever it is, and the team's likely going to drop back and pass. The passers can get after it. Any other situation, it feels and like you said, when they have to deal with the run game, when they have to think about the read option, everything else, they do get a little lost. And also, I just don't know what's the back end has looked like a mess on and off the last couple weeks, and I just wonder how much. I know that we talk about how great these guys are, but how underrated were having Hyde and Poyer back there as two guys with the communication they could have, and both being better than probably Rapp or Bishop are at this moment when they were at their peak. How much the defense just counts on them being able to disguise things and hide things before the snap and all because the Bills live a lot off of disguises in the secondary. It's not a lot about coverage specifically, but changing the coverages. And when they don't have that same ability back there, you really do need the D-line to either just get after it, or you're going to see the big chunks that we were able to see, some chunks at least that New Orleans is able to get, but all these teams have been able to get. And especially like last week we talked, I mean, this game today too with Rattler, but last week we talked about it a lot with Tua scrambling around and making plays, like them losing guys. And like, if the Bills aren't getting pressure right away, and this is every team in the league, but it shows a lot with the Bills, like they are susceptible, because I don't know if you can trust that back end with the way that it's set up right now. And then we knew that going into the season that it was going to have some growing pains, have some issues, specifically at the safety position. But Trey White's been up and down, I think, in coverage a lot. Like, he makes nice plays on the ball and everything, but I don't think he's been like an A+ out there. I think Benford has looked a little lesser this year, but only because he probably has so much more responsibility on him because of the unit that he's playing with. That's why I say, like, getting Hairston back, getting Milano back, getting Oliver, like, maybe Ed Oliver isn't going to be what he was week 1 every single game, but I'd like to see it, right? Like, I'd like to see if that dude just turned a corner and is going to be able to turn up for this team.
It's not going to hurt to have him on the field.
He's their best defensive lineman. Like, but like by far, maybe not. And even you don't think he's their best, he's their most important, because they don't have a guy as good as Deion Walker has looked. And the fact that we're talking about a rookie being the second best guy, the way that they've looked on that line, like, he is the engine for that whole defensive line. And so I just don't want to pass too much judgment until he's back on the field and see what they look like without it. And I know that they let up 38 points against the Ravens, even regardless when he was in that game, whatever, it's fine. The Ravens right now they're up 7-3 and went down the field right away. Like, the Ravens score a lot of points.
Yeah.
I just want to see it all together. Like, and that even counts after the bye, after we get through the Atlanta game and get everybody back from suspension too. Like, it's just going to be, it feels like it's going to be a different story. So but the tendencies from Babich beyond the personnel, I think, are reason to be concerned about what this team can do when they have to play elite teams. Like, because if you're seeing the tendencies against the Saints at home in September, like, what is that going to mean for January against the Ravens, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Chargers, whoever you have to play? And it's just, I think that's fair. I think I don't think that's us being on here like panicking or hitting the panic button or turning up the heat on him or anything, but we've seen it for over a year now with him as a defensive coordinator. I think it's fair questions to ask, like, what he does. What do you do here, bro? Like, you know what I mean? And this is a good point by John Robert. Cole is still learning 6-7 start. Yeah, he hasn't even started 16 games like as official. Like,
no, and that's
he's got a lot of time to grow too, for sure.
Well, that's the thing. When they got Poyer and Hyde came in, obviously 8 years ago, is that, I mean, obviously Micah Hyde had a lot of experience playing in Green Bay, and then Poyer hadn't had as much experience, but he had at least been in the league for a bit before he came in. And then they just happened to be that they were like the best tandem in the league because they just had like a crazy chemistry together and could adapt this offense so well. Cole Bishop, it's only his second year, had very limited time last year. And honestly, I think he's improved every week that we've seen him playing. So obviously that's a huge plus. And Taylor Rapp was like good last year. And I don't know, maybe it's just he's already like kind of hitting that point. I don't know if you guys talked about this. Maybe he might have gotten released after the fact. I don't know if you talked about it this week. Should they bring in CJ Gardner-Johnson? Because would that really be that bad of a thing to do?
He might just be bad vibes. That seems like part of the issue.
Maybe it's bad vibes because the team sucks. He was on an 0-3 Texans team. And he's like, I was on a team that won the Super Bowl last year, and I'm on this Texans team that sucks.
It's possible.
I don't know. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's not worth a shot.
I don't think they're going to do, unless they're ready to fully give up on.
Rapp?
Unless they're fully ready to give up on, Bishop more than anything.
I don't
guess
think
they could start
Bishop
with somebody.
The better of the two.
Then I don't think that they're ready to give up on Rapp. I think that they like Rapp more than I think anybody else does.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Well, this is my thing too. I will say about this is that when you had Hyde and Poyer back there, and just like that team, like even like the first couple of years, is that they were such a good vet presence on the entire like secondary. And now you kind of hope that that's what like Trey White is doing. But that defense, as much as you have guys who've been in the league for a few years, it is very young. Or it's guys who aren't like leaders of a defense. Like Benford's on his 4th season and is good, but still, like it's only his 4th year. Trey White, obviously, like 8 years in the league now, 9 years in the league, is a vet in that locker room. But you have Cole Bishop, who's only his 2nd year. You have Trevor Bernard, who's only on his like 4th year. You have Jordan Williams, who's on his 3rd year. Milano's out. Like it's Greg's only
Oliver out. I think Oliver is honestly
Yeah.
the heart and soul, the engine, the leader of that defense, and that is. I mean, they keep showing him on the sideline. Like they said they were talking to him this week. Everything like
Mhm.
it feels like that's the loss right now, where the defense looks like they don't like everything is planned. Everything seemed like it was going to be planned around him and what his impact could be, and whether he's eating up blocks for the edges or they're eating up blocks for him. It's just, yeah, and that's a great point about them being really young and like who is the alpha on this defense. I feel like they it's probably that's what I mean. It's probably Ed. Like Ed is probably the guy, his
Realistically,
goofy self that is the
because like
alpha
even
on
when
that
they brought in
unit.
Trey and he's this nice vet to have back, it's like how much is like before the season before like Harrison got hurt in training camp, do we even know how much Trey was going to be playing? Honestly,
Exactly.
Like, everyone kind of
I mean,
assumed it was
Harrison could have
between
won that
Harrison and
job.
Benford. Yeah.
And that's the thing about Harrison too, is like, okay, like he's been practicing this week. I bet you he comes back after the bye or something like that. Like they clearly had plans for him at some point this year to see what he could do. Like there's just so much from what we watched today from this defense and what we've seen the last couple of weeks. There's at least 2 dynamic players and potentially 3 dynamic players. And depending on how you feel about Michael Hoyt and hearing about what the role they want to have for him, potentially like 4 guys that are going to be the most vital pieces to this unit that all weren't playing yet. So it's an incomplete story at this point. And I think that we can talk about the tendencies and be rightfully concerned about what they'll do against elite teams, because they haven't proven they can stop elite teams ever. And I think that's like the dissonance that I try to have, and I'm especially trying to have this year, because you know this. I've always been like, hey, they win a lot of games. They'll have a shot against these teams. Like they have as good a shot as any. They got Josh Allen, XYZ, whatever. But it's the defense against elite teams in big games like that. Like it's those game plans, and having Jimmys and Joes can make up for that. So when those guys are hurt, and you're just relying on a scheme that might be, I don't know if it's flawed per se, but like you see the issues that it continues to have. I just want to lean on maybe they just need their guys back, and that makes up all the difference in the world, especially when you have this offense, when you're paired with that's the thing, is they don't have to turn into a top 3 unit in the league or something like that. You know what I mean? They just need to be top 10, top 12, like top half of the league. And Josh Allen just keeps taking care of the ball like he normally does, besides his, first interception today, and do what he does. And they're going to walk to 30. If you could score 30, like a lot of teams aren't going to be able to score 30 points on you, even on a good day.
Yeah.
So it is all within, it's not in a vacuum. You have to take the context with it. But I think the signs are concerning enough, and to see the Saints, I mean, very easily could have been at 26 points or 24 points in this game, 23 points in this game if they got a touchdown instead of a field goal there, and had more chances to put more points on the board, even moving the ball.
Yeah,
it's tough, but you get, your win's a win. You get out of this week.
Look ahead
relatively unscathed.
Football against the Patriots team that just dropped 42.
Yeah, and a team that's going to be, I mean, they're 2-2, right? Yeah, they're 2-2 now.
Yes. Yeah.
They're going to be hungry coming into this game. Like that's going to be, their fans are going to be hyped coming into this to see what Jake May can do. They should be 3-1. Like they turned the ball over. It's talking about a team to hurt yourself. Last week against the Steelers, they turned the ball over 5 times and still only lose by 7 points.
Well,
like this, I think this is
after this Sunday morning game in Ireland, that Steelers defense might just be back though.
They were pretty healthy today, right?
They were healthy. They had, I think, it was 6 or 7 sacks. TJ Watt had an interception.
Yeah.
They were kind of all over the place. So it's, obviously that game ended up fairly close towards the end of it, but that Steelers team might be a lot better than they looked like these first 2 weeks against Seattle and the Jets. So I don't know. Interesting to see. 2 things I want to touch on before we got to get out of here. So David Edwards, not David Edwards. I'm thinking David Edwards had a penalty also. Ryan Vandermark coming in playing right tackle for Spencer Brown. did okay. They tried to pull him on the one play, and there's
that was
I don't
waiting
know
for
if
it.
necessarily it's him. I mean, Josh got sacked 3 times. I don't think you could say all 3 of those sacks are on his fault. I think a couple times Josh needed to just like step up and try to like take off and run earlier than or get the ball out of his hands faster.
And that last sack, he probably shouldn't have even tried to run. I think he was trying to make something out of nothing there.
Yeah, he did though on that 4th and 1 play. He is the pulling tackle to get this block for Shakir and just he stumbled.
He just whiffed
and then whipped.
Yeah, he stumbled and then whiffed on the guy. Yeah, it was bad.
So obviously that's on him. But then the biggest thing I thought, Brandon Codrington just out, healthy scratch today. And I don't fully understand why that's the case. Was it because Curtis Samuel, they wanted to get Curtis Samuel in and is like active for this first game and get him as like trade bait for a team? They could see that, oh, look, he's returning kicks or whatever. I don't know. I like Codrington. I think he's a good kick returner. I think he's a good punt returner. Shakir didn't really show anything in the punt game today. A lot of them were over his head, and he didn't want to try to play him even. But still, I don't know. Weird to me that Codrington was out.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. We got some Curtis Samuel action.
Well, that's the thing. So people like I saw people speculating that Codrington was out because they're thinking they're going to move on from him, which I don't really get, or they're just putting Samuel in so that they can try to trade him. I don't know. Curtis Samuel and Ray Davis for who? Because I'm ready for the Ray Davis train to be over. 1 carry today. Great job.
1 carry today. They got him his touch, his weekly touch that they need to get.
He didn't even have one last week.
Did he not?
No, that's what I said on Andrew Catalon said he didn't have a single touch last week.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
So Ray Davis, Curtis Samuel for who? That's my trade.
On Madden, it might just be like if you hit the fine trade, they might just be like, no one's interested. Sorry.
Well, maybe.
Can't do it. Yeah, it's a good point about Vandemark. Xavier Worthy just had a 37-yard catch from Patrick Mahomes, by the way. That's what we're looking at there. Vandemark, that was the first thing I noticed about that Shakir play was he came over and just completely missed on that block. I'm sure it did have some effect on that team. I mean, Spencer Brown's been awesome all year round, but like that's the thing is like they clearly just this game in general, they did not, whether it was game planning, keeping it vanilla, or the players just they're human coming in and just thinking they were just going to walk all over this team. Whatever it was, they were a mess at least to start. This
it was,
game.
And there was a
with
weird
the procedural penalties, like just the cute shit, like it's not what you would usually see from this team. And we talk about it so many times with this Bills team. They are their own worst enemy. And that was what it was a lot today.
Well, and that was like, it was weird with like the tight ends today. They were not using them as much as like Kincaid's touchdown was only like his second target of the game even. I didn't see Josh didn't really throw the ball that much overall. I don't like he was like 16 to 21 he ended up, but that was only his second target. Knox only had 1 target, I think. Maybe it was 2. And then Hawes had 1 catch and on 1 target. And they didn't even really see like they had him out there to block or whatever, but like not like running behind him as much as you would have thought on some of those plays. But either way. I don't know, different weird game overall. Joe Brady messing around a little bit too much at times, I think. But and like Keon Coleman, like they got Keon heavily involved. Their second drive had 2 really nice catches, and then he was kind of just like a ghost, like the rest of the game. So I don't know what's going on. It's a win. So and it's a win where a coach loves it because you have a lot of stuff you can work on.
Yep.
And that's kind of the same thing that they had the last week too, and even the Jets. There's the last 3 weeks they had these wins where it's like, well, we had a lot to work on still.
Yep. But like it's a blessing when you have those things to do and you can still get a double-digit win. That's for sure. Yeah. We got a couple comments on Instagram here. Loved from the Buffalo Breakdown. Loved Deion Walker today. So he's with you there about Big Deion looking good. We got a Saints fan chiming in. I'm done being a Saints fan. This makes me so mad. I'm sorry, Ruben. Ruben hit. He's not happy as a Saints fan. I get it.
What did you expect this year? I don't know.
I don't know, but Kellen Moore, honestly, I've been impressed by Kellen Moore at least. Like it doesn't look like they're like unprepared. Like Aaron Glenn has looked unprepared at times. Like Kellen Moore seems like he got shit.
I mean, with the Saints though, like you drafted this quarterback, and hasn't even seen the field yet, and he is still younger than Spencer Rattler. And Spencer Rattler,
I don't have high hopes for that guy.
Tyler Show. I thought he was gonna get in this week because I was like, they're 0-3. What do you got to lose? Now they're 0-4. What do you got to lose?
Now, you would think next week, right? Like, who do the Saints play next week? Giants, Saints, Giants. What an electric game! Giants with a big win.
Giants with a huge win. I had on a parlay Jackson Dart anytime touchdown score. He got it.
There we go.
So
there we go.
Gotta take it.
Hopefully, prayers up for Malik Neighbors too. I saw that he got hurt there.
Torn ACL.
Yeah, not good. The fucking MetLife, man.
It's that turf.
Somebody every year.
It's that turf. They gotta switch to grass.
Tanic Bias said we need Max. I agree. I mean, I
just want to see him at this point.
Defense.
Like whatever it's gonna be, I want to just see him out there because I want to see what that speed like in the NFL. I want to see how it translates.
Yeah, I agree. But that's that Giants. Just to go over, like let's just talk through a little bit of the results of the early games there, and then we can get going here. Because that is with this Baltimore Kansas City game and people talking about like who to cheer for, who should we root for, everything else. The Chargers slipping up like that and showing that they're human, and it was I think it was a reasonable result to expect this week. A bump from the Giants. You're going West Coast to East Coast early slate. Like that's always a tough spot to be in. They only lose by 3, whatever. But now Kansas City wins today. They don't have the tiebreaker right now over the Chargers, but they're only 1 game back of the Chargers if they win today.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden that those AFC West odds that were the Chargers were minus 150 going into this week are going to fly back down the handle and be closer to Kansas City. So that's going to be a important game there. As you mentioned already, the Steelers looking more like themselves, get a 24-21 win. They pick off Carson Wentz twice today. The Browns, man, the Browns deserve defense. Deserve so much better. Big, kick return for a touchdown or punt return. The offense just can't move the ball. They lose 34-10 to Detroit. You mentioned the Patriots earlier, getting a big win over Carolina. I mean, they're just going to be a team that on the road and at home are different teams. They shut out the Falcons last week at home and then just go and lay an egg on the road.
There was like an 87-yard like Marcus Jones punt return touchdown.
That's tough.
It was 7-6. Then he did that. So then after that point, obviously Carolina just was like, we got
that is tough.
Yeah.
And then in the NFC, Philly holds on against Tampa. The Falcons again are another team different at home than on the road. They beat the Commanders today without Jaden Daniels, 34-27. Oh, I forgot Houston and Tennessee. Houston shuts out Tennessee. They get back onto there. Tennessee,
I don't know if either of those teams are good, honestly.
Yeah,
Woody Marks. If anyone's got Woody Marks in fantasy, he had 2 touchdowns. I saw that.
Okay, Woody Marks. All right. I was 17 carries, 69 yards. Not great, but 2 touchdowns. Yeah, at a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are the early results right now. We got the Colts are now up on the Rams. The Jags are up on the Niners. Chiefs just got a 4th down conversion. They're in the red zone against Baltimore. And Chicago is trailing Vegas at the moment. So the AFC looking strong here in the afternoon too. But yeah, anything else before we go, Mo? Anything else on this game?
No, I don't think so. Well, let's do it. Let's do guess the lines. We'll see. What do you think the line's going to be?
Oh, next week. Bills minus 6.5.
I was going to say 7.5. So let's see. Is it up? You think it's up already? Let's see. It's not up yet. I don't see it yet on ESPN. But that's our.
Let me check Action Network. Give it one more whirl. 7.5. I'm gonna stick with my 6.5. Give me to week 5. Oh wow, we're both off. It's up to 10.
10.
Bills minus 10. No love for the Patriots coming into Buffalo next week.
No, guess not.
Vegas still believes in the Bills for a double. I mean, listen, the Bills the last 2 weeks we just talked about it. Played sloppy games. They had double-digit wins. So
it is maybe they haven't covered the last 2 weeks. So
it's true. It's true. They are dropping it a little bit. It was what did it end up today? Did it land at 15.5 at kickoff?
It might have, but still win by 12.
Mike Bunt's gonna do a victory lap on that on Tuesday. He's like, I always bet the low. I always never bet a big spread for a team when it comes to this. I always go against it. I'm like, all right, whatever you say. And then
no matter what in a pick and pool, I still always pick the Bills to cover, even if I don't think they're gonna cover 16.5. I still always pick the Bills to cover.
I respect that.
Yeah.
All right, Mo. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Alex, for joining along on here. Shout out to our sponsor, Picasso's Pizza. Get your Picasso's Pizza in Western New York and anywhere nationwide at picassospizza.net. Get it locked in right now for some Sunday night football, maybe a little late afternoon action, whatever you got there. But we'll be back next week. We'll be back on Tuesday for the podcast. We'll be back next week after Sunday night football for the post game. Big week ahead, Patriots week. It's gonna be a fun week. It's Bills talk, I think, because people are gonna be fiery one way or the other. Like they're gonna find something to be upset about, and there's gonna be people convincing themselves about this Patriots team. The Patriots fans are gonna be feeling good after this game coming into this week. Gonna be a fun one Sunday night. The New Jerseys, the rivalry uni debut on Sunday night, and right now I think it's scheduled. You never know what happens later in the season, but it's the last Sunday night game at Highmark Stadium. Won't be one again. Not one the rest of this year. They got some 4:30s later in the year, but the last ever Sunday night affair there. So will be a big game this week. We'll have you covered there. But the last thing we all say, the only thing we need to say left: Go Bills.
Go Bills.